Get this filthy Hispanic kid away from my table before he steals something or gives us all some disease. Arthur Vance said it loud. 8:30 p.m. on a Thursday in April. 75 degrees, the Pinnacle Grill patio. Twinkle lights glowing. Misters fighting the warmth. Vance in his $14,000 wheelchair. 7 dinner guests laughed nervously. Tequila glasses raised. Leo Martinez stood 3 feet away. 9 years old, homeless, barefoot, t-shirt torn from digging through their dumpster. Brown, and in a sea of white faces. "Sir, please, I can help your leg." Vance laughed. "How long would this miracle take, boy?" Leo's voice shook. "Seconds. The journal said seconds." Laughter exploded across the patio. Vance pulled out his money clip, laughing so hard tears streamed down his face. "Perfect. Heal me for $1 million in your magical seconds, street rat. When you fail, police take you." Leo whispered, "Okay." 30 minutes earlier. 8 p.m. Leo had followed the smell 8 blocks from the Loop 101 overpass. Mesquite smoke, seared ahai, food from a different universe. The April air was warm on his bare feet, but 75 degrees wasn't cool enough to be comfortable. Not yet. June would be different. The Pinnacle Grill sat like a resort. Adobe and glass. Warm light spilling from every window. People who'd never been hot, never been hungry, never been invisible. Leo found the service entrance, the dumpster, and beside it, the recycling bin where someone had tossed reading material. 3 torn copies of the Journal of Orthopedic Medicine, August 2024 issue. Salsa-stained, water-damaged, someone's discarded subscription. To Leo, they were gold. He smoothed the pages on the ground beside decorative cacti that separated the dumpster area from the outdoor patio. 5 feet away, through gaps in the oleander, he could see everything. 12 tables under twinkle lights, misters humming softly, the kind that cost more than his mother's monthly salary when she'd had one, when she'd been alive. Leo found a tortilla chip in the dumpster's top layer, ate it while reading by borrowed patio light. Article title, Acute Piriformis Syndrome Causing Sciatic Entrapment, Emergency Release Protocol. His eyes moved across the page once. That's all he needed. Photographic memory. Tested at age 6. Extraordinary, the school counselor had said. That was before extraordinary stopped mattering, before his mother died. And extraordinary became just another word for different. The text imprinted on his brain like a photograph. Perfect, permanent, complete. Acute piriformis or gluteal spasm causing sciatic compression presents as sudden onset lower extremity paralysis. Emergency release protocol, identify trigger point 2, inferior to greater trochanter. Lateral approach 45 degrees angle. Sustained pressure 8 to 12 lbs. Duration 15 to 30 seconds. Muscle relaxation and nerve release is instantaneous. Leo whispered the protocol to himself, adding it to his internal library. 50 pages before this, 51 now. His entire medical education stored in a Ziploc bag and his unbreakable memory. On the patio, a celebration exploded. The center table, 8 people, tequila bottles and silver ice buckets. Class Azul, $1,500 per bottle. He'd found a drinks menu last week. A man sat at the head in a wheelchair, custom titanium, maybe mid-50s. A tailored linen suit, an expensive watch. He raised his glass. To $300 million and the biggest tech merger Arizona has seen in a decade. Crystal clinked. Laughter rolled like a haboob. But Leo wasn't watching the celebration. He was watching the man. The way he shifted his weight every few minutes, always the left side, grimacing when he thought no one looked, reaching down to adjust his left leg like furniture that wouldn't stay in position. A younger man leaned in. "Mr. Vance, you sure you're okay?" "I'm fine, Daniel. Keep the tequila flowing." But he wasn't fine. Leo could see it in the micro movements. Vance's left foot at an unnatural angle, the way he shifted position like clockwork. 3 minutes, 4 minutes, pressure building with nowhere to release. Leo looked at the journal page, at the anatomical diagram showing the gluteal muscle wrapped around the sciatic nerve. At the trigger point marked with an X, at the words, instantaneous release. He looked back at Vance, struggling through a celebration. Leo's fingers found the hospital wristband in his pocket, his mother's, Scottsdale General Hospital. Patient ID, SG441701, Sophia Martinez, age 32, dead 8 months, 2 weeks, 4 days because nobody had listened when she'd said, "Something's really wrong." He looked at Vance in pain, and Leo knew with the certainty of 51 memorized pages and 8 months watching medicine through hospital windows that something was about to go very wrong. He didn't know yet he'd be the one to fix it. Leo pulled the hospital wristband completely out of his pocket. Blue plastic, scratched from being carried everywhere for 8 months, 2 weeks, and 4 days. The text was fading, but he could still read every character. He'd memorized it anyway. Sophia Martinez, DOB May 20th, 1993, admitted August 26th, 2025, allergic to sulfa. His mother had been 32 years old when she died. 32. Young enough that she should have had decades left. Young enough that when she'd first said, "I think something's really wrong," in that emergency room, they should have taken her seriously instead of telling her to wait, instead of processing people with insurance cards first, instead of making her sit in that plastic chair for 6 hours while the infection in her body multiplied and spread. "Someone please listen," she'd said over and over, getting weaker each time. "Please, I think something's really wrong." By hour 8, when they finally called her name, the infection was in her bloodstream. Sepsis. The doctor had used that word like it was a surprise, like it was unpredictable, like there was nothing anyone could have done differently. But Leo had read about sepsis since then, found articles, memorized treatment protocols. $90 worth of antibiotics an hour or two would have saved her life. $90, less than 1 bottle of the tequila Vance's table was drinking. Leo had a photographic memory. A gift, the school counselor had called it. She'd tested him at age 6, shown him complex images and paragraphs, and asked him to recall what he'd seen. Perfect recall every single time. She'd called his mother in for a special meeting, used words like extraordinary and gifted and tremendous potential, talked about special programs and opportunities. "My brilliant boy," his mother had said on the walk home that day, "you're going to do such amazing things." That was 3 years ago, before medical bills from his grandmother's death had buried them, before his mother started working double shifts, before exhaustion weakened her immune system, before the world taught Leo that potential meant nothing without money. Now, Leo lived under the Loop 101 overpass, a 20-minute walk from this restaurant, 8 blocks from Scottsdale General Hospital, where his mother died and where he now spent evenings pressed against 4th-floor windows watching residents do rounds. Learning medicine the way his mother never received it. Through observation, through memorization, through a desperate determination that nobody else would die unheard. He'd collected 51 pages of medical journals over 8 months, kept them in a Ziploc bag, organized by topic, every page memorized, every diagram traced in his mind. On the patio, everything changed. 8:15 p.m. Vance suddenly gasped, dropped his fork. It clattered against china. "Arthur?" The woman in her 40s, business suit, half stood. "What's wrong?" Vance's left leg jerked, then locked, completely rigid. His face went white. His hands flew to his thigh, gripping, trying to move it. Nothing. The leg stayed frozen at an unnatural angle, foot rotated sharply inward. I can't move it at all." Chaos erupted at the table. "Is it a stroke? Heart attack? Call 911. The older man already had his phone out. Yes, emergency. The Pinnacle Grill, Shea Boulevard. We need an ambulance. 58-year-old male. Possible stroke. He's already in a wheelchair. His left leg just went completely paralyzed. He listened. His face fell. 18 minutes. They're 18 minutes out. Leo watched from the shadows 5 feet away. Watched Vance's leg locked rigid. The inward rotation of the foot. The muscle visible through expensive pants. Hard as stone. Exactly like the diagram he'd read 30 minutes ago. Not a stroke, not a heart attack, not permanent. Acute gluteal spasm compressing the sciatic nerve. Looks like dying. Feels like the end. Is actually fixable in seconds if you know where to press. Leo looked at the journal page, at the trigger point marked with an X, at the protocol. 15 to 30 seconds duration. Release is instantaneous. He looked at Vance, sweating, gripping his leg, surrounded by 7 panicking people who had no idea what they were watching. He looked at the wristband. SG441701. Sophia Martinez. Someone please listen. Leo stood up. The shrubs rustled. Daniel noticed first. Sir, there's someone... Leo stepped toward the patio, toward the wrought iron fence separating their world from his. 4 feet tall, bars wide enough that a 58 lbr 9-year-old could slip through, toward the moment when everything would change. Leo stepped out of the shadows and walked directly toward the patio railing. His bare feet made no sound on the flagstone. His torn t-shirt hung off shoulders that were too thin, too sharp, bones visible beneath skin. The patio was complete chaos. Vance gripping his leg with both hands. A woman named Victoria on her phone trying to get through to 911 again. A man named Robert Sinclair pacing back and forth. Another man standing with his phone held up, recording everything. Daniel Mills, Vance's assistant, saw Leo first, did a visible double take. A homeless child here, now, wrong in every way. Sir, Daniel's voice cut through the chaos. Sir, there's a kid here. Security. Vance's head snapped up. For a moment, their eyes met. Millionaire and homeless child. 2 people who should never have occupied the same space. Then Vance's face twisted, panic mixing with something uglier. That's when he said it, not quietly, loud enough for everyone to hear. Get this filthy Hispanic kid away from my table before he steals something or gives us all some disease. The words hit like stones. The patio went silent, except for soft guitar from speakers. 40 people at 12 tables, all turning to stare, eyes categorizing. Threat, problem, something to remove. Leo had heard worse. 8 months on the street taught you that. But it still hurt. He focused on Vance's leg, on the crisis happening while everyone was distracted by prejudice. Sir, please, I can help your leg. Help? Vance laughed, not amused. Cruel. Boy, you can't even help yourself off the street. Look at you. You're filthy. You're nobody. What makes you think you can help me? The word boy hung in the air. Everyone heard the weight of it. Security was coming. Leo could see the guard through the glass doors, a big man in a uniform, maybe 6 seconds away. Leo didn't have time for politeness. Vance didn't have time for proper channels. Your leg is paralyzed because of an acute gluteal spasm, Leo said, voice shaking, but words clear. Medical. It's not permanent damage. Your muscle is crushing your sciatic nerve. That's why you can't move, but I can fix it. Vance stared. Then his expression shifted to something between amusement and contempt. He looked Leo up and down. Homeless Hispanic child, torn clothes, bare feet. Nothing. You? He gestured broadly. You're going to heal me? Someone at a nearby table laughed, nervous. Vance's smile was ugly. Okay, boy, I'll play your game. How long would this miracle take? Leo's voice shook harder. Seconds. The journal said seconds. 15 to 30 seconds of pressure and the nerve releases. You'll be able to move again. The laughter exploded. Not just Vance's table, other tables too. The absurdity of it. A homeless child claiming he could heal a millionaire in seconds. Vance laughed so hard, tears streamed down his face. He pulled out his money clip, slammed it on the white tablecloth hard enough to make silverware jump. Perfect. This is perfect. He was still laughing. Okay, street rat, you want to play doctor? Fine. Heal me for $1 million in your magical seconds. Go ahead. Show us what a homeless little brown boy knows that 3 doctors with medical degrees don't. He leaned forward, his smile vicious. But here's the deal. When you fail, and you will fail because you're making this up, when you fail, security calls the police. They take you away. You spend tonight in juvenile detention instead of whatever bridge you sleep under. You'll have a record. Your life will get so much worse. His voice dropped, threatening. So, think very carefully, boy. Do you really want to try this? Leo looked at Vance's leg, still locked. Rigid. The security guard was now 4 seconds away. 40 people watching, phones out, recording. This would be everywhere in minutes. Viral humiliation or viral miracle. He thought about his mother. About someone, please listen. About $90. About 8 months sleeping under a bridge while carrying medical knowledge that could save lives, if anyone would just let him use it. Leo looked Vance in the eyes. Yes, sir, I still want to try. The security guard's hand landed on Leo's shoulder. Heavy. Final. Okay, kid. You need to... Vance held up a hand, still smiling. Let him try. I want to watch him fail. I want everyone here to see what happens when people like him try to pretend they are people like us. He gestured grandly. Go ahead, boy. You've got your seconds. Show me your miracle. Leo climbed through the railing. Wait, hold on. A man named Richard Bolton stood up, phone in hand like a weapon. Arthur, this is insane. We're all witnesses. If this child hurts you, you could be seriously injured. We should wait for the ambulance. The ambulance is still 15 minutes out, Victoria said quietly. And Arthur is in serious pain. Pain he'll be in regardless, another man, Thomas, interjected. Come on, Arthur. He's 9 years old and homeless. How would he know anything about medical procedures? Let him talk. Vance's voice cut through, firm despite the pain. He was still smiling, but there was something else in his eyes. Desperation, maybe. Kid, how does a 9-year-old homeless boy know anything about emergency medical protocols? Leo reached slowly into his t-shirt pocket. Everyone tensed. The security guard's grip tightened on his shoulder. Daniel's hand moved toward his phone. Leo pulled out the Ziploc bag. 51 pages of torn medical journals, water-stained, coffee-ringed, organized with paper clips. He held it up so everyone could see. This is what I've been learning from. 8 months since my mom died. His voice was small but growing steadier. I find journals in recycling bins, in donation boxes, in library trash, behind clinics and hospitals. This one? He pulled out the top pages. I found in your recycling bin 30 minutes ago. He showed them the article. The title was visible, the diagram clear, professional. Real. Acute sciatic nerve entrapment from gluteal spasm, emergency release protocol, Journal of Orthopedic Medicine, August 2024. It's all here. The symptoms, the diagnosis, the treatment, the exact procedure. Vance leaned forward despite the pain. You found that tonight? Just now? Yes, sir. I read it once, one time through. That's all I need. I have a photographic memory. They tested me when I was 6 years old. I read something one time and it stays in my head forever. Every word, every picture, everything. Forever. Richard scoffed loudly. Arthur, come on, Leo interrupted. His voice didn't rise, but it cut clean. Quote, acute piriformis or gluteal spasm causing sciatic compression presents as sudden onset lower extremity paralysis, often misdiagnosed as a cerebrovascular accident or radiculopathy in emergency room settings. Emergency release protocol. Identify trigger point 2 in, inferior to greater trochanter. Use lateral approach at 45° angle. Apply sustained pressure 8 to 12 lbs per square in. Maintain constant pressure, duration 15 to 30 seconds. Muscle relaxation and nerve release is instantaneous upon successful decompression. End quote. Journal of Orthopedic Medicine, August 2024, Volume 62, Issue 2, page 117. Authors, Desai and Kim. Absolute silence. Complete. Total. Leo lowered the page. I remember all of it. All 51 pages in this bag. Every word, every diagram, every protocol. I've been teaching myself medicine because... His voice finally cracked. Because when my mom was dying, nobody listened to her. And I'm never going to let that happen to anyone else if I can help it. Victoria's hand covered her mouth. Her eyes were wet. Vance stared at Leo, really looked at him for the first time. Not seeing a homeless kid, seeing something else. What do you need me to do? He asked quietly. Stay in your wheelchair, don't move. Leo's voice was steadier now, focused. When I press, it's going to hurt more before it gets better. Don't fight me. Don't tense up. Just count with me. Okay, Vance nodded. Okay, I need to wash my hands first. A waiter stepped forward. Hand-washing station here. He turned on hot water, pumped soap into Leo's hands. Leo scrubbed methodically between every finger, under nails, up to his wrists. 30 full seconds while everyone watched in silence. Rinsed, dried on his t-shirt. 8:48 p.m. 5 seconds passed. Leo walked back to Vance's wheelchair, knelt beside it. Even kneeling, he barely came up to the armrest height. He looked impossibly small. 58 lbs to maybe 190. 9 to 58. Homeless to millionaire. I'm going to find the exact spot first. Tell me if anything hurts. His hands, child-sized, rough from concrete but surprisingly gentle, moved over Vance's hip area, palpating through expensive fabric, feeling for landmarks. Greater trochanter, iliac crest, gluteal borders, moving with surprising precision. Right here, Leo's fingers stopped, pressed lightly. Vance flinched. Your muscle is extremely tight, like wood. The trigger point is... He adjusted. Here. Daniel had his phone out. I'm documenting this, whatever happens. Good, Vance said, his knuckles white on the armrests. Kid, are you sure? Leo positioned both thumbs 2 inches below the hip bone, on the lateral side of the gluteal muscle, exactly where the diagram showed. I'm sure about what I read. I'm sure about the anatomy. His voice got smaller. I've never actually done this before. Only practiced finding landmarks on myself. Oh, God, Richard muttered. Do you want to wait? Victoria asked Vance gently. Vance looked at his leg, locked rigid. He looked at Leo, 9 years old, scared but determined, homeless but brilliant. Everything the world said was worthless, offering to save him. No, we're not waiting. Leo, do it. Leo took a breath. When I press, everyone count out loud. It helps track time, and... He looked up. I'm sorry if this hurts really badly. Just do it, kid. 8:48 40 seconds. Leo pressed, not gently. Full pressure, 8 pounds of force, maybe more, using his entire body weight, both thumbs driving into the trigger point at a 45-degree angle. Vance's gasp was sharp, immediate. Jesus Christ, that... Count! 1. Victoria's voice joined Daniel's, Thomas's, Richard's, even nearby tables. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Vance's breath came ragged, sweat poured despite the 75-degree air. His grip so tight the leather creaked, body rigid with pain. God, I can't... You can! Keep counting! 6, 7, 8! 6, 7, 8! Leo could feel the muscle under his thumbs, dense, solid, unyielding, like pressing hardwood. The nerve trapped underneath, compressed, screaming, his arm shaking from the effort. But he didn't let up. The protocol said 15 to 30 seconds. He had to get there. 9, 10, 11. Victoria was crying. Didn't notice. Just counting and crying. Mascara running. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Vance's breathing changed. Faster, shallower. His face from white to red. Veins on his forehead. I can't. This is too much. Almost there. 15. The patio held its breath. 40 people frozen, watching a 9-year-old homeless child press his thumbs into a millionaire's hip, while everyone counted like a countdown to something impossible. 16. 17. Leo felt it before he heard it. The density change, the muscle shifting, wood becoming something softer, something yielding, something letting go. Pop. The sound was audible, clear, distinct, like cracking knuckles but deeper, fuller. A sound from inside the body that everyone heard. Vance's entire body jerked, his spine arched, his head thrown back. A sound ripped from his throat. Oh my God, oh! 8:48, 58 seconds. 18 seconds of pressure, exactly. Leo stepped back fast, his thumbs leaving the point, his whole body shaking from effort and adrenaline and fear and hope. He nearly fell but caught himself. Vance's face transformed. Agony to shock to wonder in 3 heartbeats. It's the pain. It's gone. His voice was full of disbelief. It's completely gone. I can feel my leg again. Try to move it, Leo whispered. Vance stared at his left leg like it belonged to a stranger. Tentatively, scared it wouldn't work, he flexed his toes. They moved. All 5 responding. Normal. He rotated his ankle, full range, no pain. He bent his knee, straightened it, bent it again. Normal. Just normal. Like 33 minutes of paralysis never happened. The patio exploded all at once, like a bomb detonating in reverse. People screaming, chairs scraping as everyone jumped up. Someone shouted, "Oh my God!" over and over. Phones everywhere, 20, 30, 40 people recording from every angle. Leo stepped back, making himself small, trying to disappear. But Victoria grabbed him, pulled him into a hug so fierce it knocked the air out of him. "You did it!" she sobbed. "You actually did it!" Vance gripped the armrests, pushed, his arms shaking. He rose, wobbly, uncertain, like a baby learning to walk, but rising, standing, weight on both legs, both working, both holding him. 8:49, 15 seconds. Arthur Vance stood for the first time in 6 weeks without pain. He took 1 step, cautious. Then another. Then another. 4 steps before he stopped, staring at his legs. He turned to Leo, saw him. "How old are you?" His voice cracked. 9. "You're 9 years old." Not a question. Complete disbelief. His voice broke. "You're 9, and you just, in 18 seconds, you—" He dropped to his knees, now at Leo's height, eye to eye, equal to equal, and pulled him into a hug, fierce, desperate, sobbing openly. "You gave me my life back. 18 seconds. You're 9 years old and you gave me my life back." Daniel's hands shook, holding the phone. "I got it all. Timestamp clearly visible. 8:48:40 to 8:48:58. 18 seconds exactly." Victoria held up her phone. "I was recording too. Different angle. It's all here." Thomas pulled out his watch. "Stopwatch app. 18.2 seconds. I watched it and still don't believe it." Richard stood with his mouth open, speechless for maybe the first time in his legal career. Other diners crowded closer, table assignments forgotten. Everyone wanted to witness. Everyone with phones capturing this moment when an impossible thing happened. When a homeless Hispanic child healed a millionaire in 18 seconds. Vance held Leo at arm's length, hands on his shoulders, looking at him like something sacred. "What's your full name?" "Leo Martinez." "Leo Martinez," he repeated, like a prayer, like a vow. The name I'm going to remember for the rest of my life. He looked at his guests, at the crowd, at the phones. Did you all see what this child just did? They nodded, speechless, stunned. Vance looked back at Leo. 18 seconds. I was in that wheelchair for 6 weeks. 3 surgeons said permanent nerve damage, and you fixed it in 18 seconds with your thumbs and a journal article from my trash. He laughed. Not cruel, pure wonder. How? How did you know? Leo held up the journal page, crumpled but readable. It's all here. The diagram, the protocol. I just followed exactly what it said. Where did you learn to find anatomical landmarks? Hospital windows. Scottsdale General Hospital, 4th floor, East Wing. I watch the residents examine patients. I watch them palpate for landmarks. Then I practice on myself. Feeling, remembering, learning. Vance stared, then laughed and cried at the same time. Pulled Leo into another hug. And Leo stood there, small and confused, and wondering if maybe, finally, someone had listened. Vance walked slowly back to his dinner table. Each step was careful, deliberate, testing, like he expected his legs to fail at any moment. But they didn't. They held steady, strong, normal. He didn't sit in his wheelchair. He pulled out a regular chair and sat down. First time in 6 weeks. The wheelchair sat empty beside him like a monument to what had been, what was over, what Leo had ended. Vance pulled out his checkbook, opened it, positioned it on the white tablecloth, pulled out his pen. Pay to the order of Leo Martinez. He wrote it slowly, deliberately. Amount, $1,000. $1 million. Blue ink, still wet, still impossible, still real. He held it out to Leo with both hands. You earned this. Every penny. Take it. Leo stared at the check, but didn't move toward it. Didn't reach. Didn't even blink. Just stared. Daniel stood beside Vance, phone still recording. Leo, that's $1 million. $1 million actual dollars. That's a house. That's college. That's your entire future. You need to take it. Right now. Thomas Reed nodded vigorously. Kid, listen. That's life-changing money. You can get off the streets tonight. You can have food and shelter and safety. You can go to a real school, have a real life. Everything changes if you take that check. So please, take it. Victoria knelt beside Leo again. Sweetheart, please. You don't have to sleep under a bridge anymore. You don't have to dig through dumpsters. You don't have to be hot or hungry or scared. You can have everything. Please take the check. Daniel's phone buzzed insistently. He glanced at the screen. His eyes went wide. Oh my God, the video I posted 7 minutes ago? 300,000 views already. No, wait, 500,000. It's going viral fast, really fast. Around the patio, other guests started checking their phones. Sudden murmurs, excited whispers. It's on Twitter, trending worldwide. TikTok too, at least 20 different videos. Someone made a hashtag, was afrok an 18-second miracle, trending nationally. It's on Instagram, Facebook, everywhere. CNN just picked it up, main page. A news van screeched into the parking lot, KPNX 12 News logo on the side. A woman in her 30s jumped out. A reporter in a blazer with a microphone and a camera crew. She sprinted toward the patio in heels not designed for sprinting. Mr. Vance, Dana Wallace, 12 News, is it true? Did a 9-year-old homeless child just heal you in under 20 seconds? We're getting videos from multiple sources. Can you confirm? More people started gathering outside the patio fence. Other restaurant patrons, parking lot pedestrians, kitchen staff on breaks. Everyone with phones, everyone wanting to witness, everyone wanting to be part of the moment. The story spreading in real time, geometric growth. One video becoming 10, becoming 100, becoming 1,000. Leo still hadn't moved. Still staring at the check in Vance's outstretched hands. Leo. Vance's voice was gentle now, almost pleading, not the voice that had called him a street rat. Please, take it. You saved my life. You deserve everything I can give you. Leo spoke so quietly that nearby conversations stopped completely to hear him. I didn't do it for the money. Everything stopped. The patio, the growing crowd, the video recording. The universe itself seemed to pause. I did it because... Leo's voice stayed small but steady. When my mom was dying in the emergency room, she kept saying the same thing over and over. Someone, please listen. Please, someone listen. She said it for 6 hours while they made her wait. And nobody listened. Not until it was too late. Not until she was already dying. Victoria's hand covered her mouth. Fresh tears. Dana's camera caught every word, zooming in on Leo's face, on the check, on the impossible distance between $1 million and a 9-year-old who didn't want it. You were in pain tonight. Really bad pain. Everyone assumed a stroke or permanent damage. Nobody looked for the real answer. They were going to make you wait 18 minutes in agony. I couldn't. He stopped, started again. I couldn't watch someone suffer when I knew how to help. The patio was silent except for people crying. Vance lowered the check, his own face wet. Then what do you want, Leo? Tell me. Anything. Leo thought for a long moment. Long enough the crowd leaned in. Long enough Dana's microphone inched closer. I want to learn, he finally said. Real learning. In a real school with real teachers and real textbooks that aren't from dumpsters. I want to become a real doctor, so nobody's mom ever has to die in a waiting room saying, "Someone please listen," while nobody listens. Vance's voice cracked completely. You're going to be the best doctor this city has ever seen. I promise you that. Leo looked at him. Does that mean you'll help me? Vance pulled out his phone. Kid, I'm going to do a lot more than help you. I'm going to change your life, starting right now. He started making calls right there while 3 million people watched online. A man at Vance's table, Robert Sinclair, sat down his tequila glass with a decisive clink. If the kid's such a genius, let him look at my shoulder. 2 years of pain, 6 different doctors, over $20,000. Nobody can figure it out. Leo turned. What kind of pain? Constant ache. Sharp when I lift my arm, especially to the side. Wakes me up at night. Can barely reach behind my back. Robert stood, rotated his shoulder with a visible wince. 3 doctors said rotator cuff tear. 2 said arthritis. 1 said tendonitis. MRIs, X-rays, physical therapy, cortisone shots. Nothing helps. May I examine you? Robert blinked, looked at Vance, back at Leo. Yeah, okay. Let's see what the 9-year-old finds. Leo walked to the sink, washed his hands again. 30 seconds. Thorough, professional. Dried them and approached Robert. I need to ask questions first. Go ahead. Does it hurt when you lift your arm straight forward? Yes, worse the higher I go. What about to the side? Yes, much worse. Can't get higher than shoulder level. Can you reach behind your back, like tucking in a shirt? Robert tried. His hand barely made it to his lower back. Not really. Maybe 6 inches. Used to reach my opposite shoulder blade easy. Does it hurt at night when you're not moving? Yes, a dull ache sometimes wakes me. Leo nodded. May I touch your shoulder? Check your range of motion and feel the muscles. Be my guest. Leo stood beside Robert. He had to reach up. Robert was 6 feet, Leo barely 4. Lift your arm straight forward as high as you can. Stop when it hurts too much. Robert lifted slowly, made it to about 85 degrees before pain stopped him. His face creased. That's it. Now to the side. Robert abducted his arm, reached maybe 90 degrees before stopping with a sharp breath. Same. Leo's hands moved over the shoulder gently, precisely, palpating over the joint, under the collarbone, around the shoulder blade, feeling for heat, for texture, for clues. Your subscapularis is very tight here, he pressed gently. Robert flinched. And your subacromial space is inflamed. I can feel heat, probably fluid in the bursa. He stepped back. You have adhesive capsulitis with subacromial bursitis. Robert stared. I have what? Frozen shoulder, but that's misleading. You have inflammation in your subacromial bursa, a fluid-filled sac cushioning the joint, and scar tissue in your joint capsule. That's why you can't move through a full range. Victoria leaned forward. How do you know it's not a rotator cuff tear? That's what 3 doctors said. Because Mr. Sinclair has pain, but normal strength. Watch. Leo turned to Robert. Push against my hand as hard as you can. He held up his small hand. Robert pushed. The contrast was almost comical, but Leo's point was clear. Robert's strength was normal, despite the pain. Rotator cuff tears cause weakness. When the tendon's torn, the muscle can't generate normal force. Mr. Sinclair is strong. He just can't move through a full range because inflammation and scar tissue are blocking the movement mechanically. Also, he gestured, his pain arc is between 60 and 120 degrees of abduction. Classic subacromial impingement. When you lift your arm in that range, the inflamed bursa gets squeezed between the bones. That's the sharp pain. Rotator cuff tears usually have different patterns. Richard was typing frantically on his phone. Holy, he's right. Mayo Clinic Orthopedic Manual, word for word. He looked up. How are you doing this? Leo shrugged. Small, uncertain. I just remember what I read. The anatomy textbook I found 3 months ago had a whole chapter on shoulder pathology. I remember all of it. All of it, Richard repeated. All of it, Robert stared. So, what do I do? You don't need surgery. Surgery for frozen shoulder usually makes things worse. You need physical therapy, capsular stretching exercises, gentle progressive range of motion, prescription anti-inflammatory medication, and maybe an ultrasound-guided corticosteroid injection into the bursa by an orthopedic specialist. Most cases resolve with conservative treatment over 6 to 12 months. Robert's mouth hung open. That's exactly what my 7th doctor told me last week, the specialist at the Mayo Clinic, after I'd spent $20,000 on 6 other doctors who got it wrong. $20,000? Leo repeated softly. 6 months of appointments, and you diagnosed it in 90 seconds? A woman from a nearby table stood, professional clothing, confident bearing. She walked over. Excuse me, I'm Dr. Evelyn Reed, orthopedic surgeon at Scottsdale General. I've been listening. She looked at Leo. May I see your journal pages? Leo handed over the Ziploc bag. Dr. Reed examined the pages carefully, read the sciatic nerve article, studied the diagrams, read about shoulder pathology. She looked at Vance walking normally, at Robert rotating his shoulder, back at Leo. These are legitimate, peer-reviewed protocols, current Journal of Orthopedic Medicine, correct diagrams, accurate pathways. She crouched to Leo's level. And you just executed an emergency trigger point release I wouldn't trust to most first-year residents. You diagnosed adhesive capsulitis faster than I could with imaging. How long have you been studying medicine? 8 months, ma'am, since my mom died. And how do you learn? I find journals in dumpsters and recycling. I watch through hospital windows. Scottsdale General, 4th floor, East Wing. I watch your residents do rounds at night. Watch examinations. Watch procedures. Then I remember everything, forever. Dr. Reed's eyes widened. You're the window kid. Leo looked confused. Ma'am? For months, residents have mentioned seeing a child outside the 4th floor window late at night, always watching. We thought someone should call social services. We had no idea you were teaching yourself medicine. I live 8 blocks away, under the overpass at Indian Bend. The hospital is warm and the lights are on, and there's always something to learn. Dr. Reed stood, looked at Vance, her expression intense. Mr. Vance, this mind cannot stay on the street. Cannot. I've been an orthopedic surgeon for 15 years, taught at the Mayo Clinic College of Medicine for 8. I've trained dozens of students and residents, and I have never encountered clinical intuition like this paired with photographic recall and self-taught anatomical knowledge. At 9 years old, this is once-in-a-generation brilliance. Vance nodded. Leo's street days are over as of tonight. Good, because I want him in Scottsdale General's medical observation program starting tomorrow. Shadow residents, attend conferences, observe surgeries, learn officially. She looked at Leo. Would you like that? Leo's eyes went wide. Really? You'd let me? Really? Starting tomorrow. I more than agree, Vance said. Dr. Reed, whatever you need. Paperwork, funding, clearances, you tell me. Dr. Reed extended her hand to Leo. Formal, respectful. He shook it, a small, rough hand in a larger, professional one. And she smiled. Welcome to Scottsdale General Hospital, Leo. Through the door instead of the window. Leo smiled. A real smile. The first one anyone had seen all night. Thank you, he whispered. Vance tore the $1 million check in half. Just ripped it clean through, then tore it again. Quarters, then smaller. Let the pieces flutter to the white tablecloth like expensive confetti. Everyone stared in confusion. Money is not what you need, Vance said quietly. Money's easy. Money I have. What you need is a future. A real one. A permanent one. One that can't be taken away. 9:23 p.m. Vance pulled out his phone, put it on speaker so everyone could hear. Dialed from memory. It rang twice. Andrew, Arthur Vance. Sorry to call so late. No, I'm fine. Better than fine, actually. Listen, I'm enrolling a student at Phoenix Country Day School Monday morning. 9 years old? Leo Martinez. Yes, I'm completely serious. This kid is a genius. A literal genius. Photographic memory. He just diagnosed conditions that stumped multiple doctors. He healed me when 3 surgeons said I'd never walk normally again. Monday morning, 8 a.m., I'll bring him personally. Full scholarship through graduation. Everything. Tuition, books, uniforms, activities, everything. Thank you, Andrew. He hung up without waiting for more questions. Dialed again immediately. Sarah, it's Arthur. I need Unit 12A at the Optima Kierland, completely furnished by midnight tonight. Yes, tonight. I know it's late, I'll pay triple overtime. Everything. Full furniture for a 9-year-old boy. Bedroom, kitchen fully stocked. Clothes in multiple sizes, I don't know what size he wears. Make it a home, Sarah, not just an apartment. A real home. Everything a kid needs. This kid's been sleeping under a bridge for 8 months. I want him to walk into something warm and safe. Bill me whatever it costs. Just get it done. You're amazing, Sarah, thank you. He hung up, dialed a 3rd number. Jim. Arthur Vance. I need you to draft an education trust first thing Monday morning. Drop everything else. Beneficiary. Leo Martinez. $2 million principal, covering all education expenses through completion of medical school, including undergraduate medical school, residency support, living expenses, books, equipment. Everything he might possibly need because I'm investing in the best mind I've ever encountered. And I want to make damn sure nothing, absolutely nothing, stands between him and becoming a doctor. I'll send details tomorrow. Just get the paperwork started. Thanks, Jim. He hung up, looked at Leo, who stood frozen, completely overwhelmed. Victoria knelt beside him again, took his hands gently. Leo, sweetheart, do you understand what Mr. Vance just did? Leo shook his head slowly. Not really, ma'am. Victoria smiled through fresh tears. You're going to Phoenix Country Day School. That's one of the best private schools in Arizona. Maybe the best. You start Monday morning, and you have a home now, a real home. An apartment, Unit 12A, at the Optima Kierland, just 2 blocks from here. Real furniture, real food, real clothes, real everything. Tonight you're going to sleep in a real bed. Tonight. But Leo's voice was tiny, confused. Why? You don't even know me. An hour ago, you... He looked at Vance. An hour ago, you wanted me arrested. Vance knelt down, eye level, equal to equal. You're right. An hour ago, I was an idiot. A cruel idiot. I looked at you and I saw all my prejudices, all the ugly things this world teaches people like me about people like you, and I was completely, utterly wrong. His voice cracked. You gave me my life back, Leo. In 18 seconds, you did what nobody else could do. But that's not why I'm doing this. I'm doing this because my father was exactly like you. What? My father, Martin Vance. He was a janitor at Cedars-Sinai in Los Angeles. Night shift, midnight to 8 a.m., for 30 years. And every single night he'd read the medical journals the doctors threw away. He'd watch procedures through windows. He'd ask doctors questions on smoke breaks. He taught himself medicine exactly the way you're teaching yourself, from trash and windows and pure, desperate determination. Vance's tears fell freely. But he never got his chance. Nobody saw him. Nobody noticed. Nobody cared that a janitor knew more medicine than some residents. He died at 53, still pushing that mop. Angry at a world that never saw him. I built my entire company swearing I'd never be helpless like he was. Then I ended up in that wheelchair tonight. Helpless, anyway. And you, a 9-year-old sleeping under a bridge, you saved me using the exact same methods my father used. He gripped Leo's shoulders gently. It's like he sent you. Like the universe gave me a chance to do for you what nobody did for him. You getting the future he deserved? That's justice. That's what's right. Leo pulled out his mother's hospital wristband slowly. Blue plastic. Worn. Fading. Can you help other people too? Not just me? People like my mom? People who can't afford to be listened to? Dr. Reed stepped forward before Vance could answer. I have a proposal, Mr. Vance. If you're funding Leo's education, why not fund a medical clinic as well? Scottsdale General and Vance Industries, working together. A free clinic specializing in rapid diagnosis protocols, using the kind of observation and emergency techniques Leo demonstrated tonight. Vance stood. How much for first-year operations? $500,000 would cover adequate staffing, space rental, basic supplies. Done. $500,000 from Vance Industries. Wire transfer Monday morning. Dr. Reed smiled. Scottsdale General will match with $250,000 plus volunteer medical staff from our residents. Victoria pulled out her phone, typing rapidly. I'm texting my board right now. Williams Development will donate $100,000 as seed funding. Vance looked at Leo. We'll name it after your mother. The Sofia Martinez Memorial Clinic, opening within a month. Location near Indian Bend Road, serving homeless and underserved populations. People who get overlooked. People like your mom. Leo held out the wristband with shaking hands. This was hers. Scottsdale General. Patient SG441701. She died there, in the waiting room. Nobody listening for 6 hours, nobody listened. He looked up at Vance, at Dr. Reed, at Victoria, at everyone watching. Now maybe someone else won't have to wait. Vance closed his hand around the wristband, pulled Leo into another hug. Fierce, protective. The patio was silent except for the sound of 40 people crying. Strangers, witnesses, part of something bigger than themselves. Dana's news camera captured everything, her live stream counter showing 5 million viewers. The story spreading across Scottsdale, across Arizona, across America, across the world. A 9-year-old homeless boy, a millionaire in a wheelchair. 18 seconds that changed 2 lives and would ripple forward into thousands more. Leo looked up at Vance through his tears. Do I really get to go to school Monday? Really? Truly? Really, truly. I promise. And sleep inside tonight? Unit 12A. It's your home for as long as you want it. Leo started crying. Finally, 8 months of holding everything together, 8 months of survival mode, 8 months of being invisible and hungry and hot and scared and alone. It all came out in huge, shuddering sobs that shook his small body. Vance held him through it. So did Victoria. So did Dr. Reed. Even Daniel and Thomas joined in. Grown men crying over a 9-year-old's tears. Because sometimes justice looks like a child finally getting to be a child. Sometimes it looks like someone finally listening. Sometimes it happens in 18 seconds and changes everything forever. 11:15 p.m., that same night, Leo Martinez stood in the doorway of Unit 12A at the Optima Kierland. He could barely process what he was seeing. A 2-bedroom apartment, fully furnished, everything brand new, everything spotlessly clean, everything impossibly his. A living room with a comfortable couch still wrapped in protective plastic. A television, lamps, a coffee table, everything a home should have. A kitchen with a refrigerator absolutely full of actual food. Fresh milk that hadn't expired, eggs, bread, fruit, vegetables, things he hadn't had in 8 months, things he'd forgotten were possible. A bedroom with clothes laid out on the bed in multiple sizes because nobody knew what would fit. Shirts, pants, socks, underwear, real shoes, everything new, everything clean. And the bed itself, a real bed, queen-sized, too big for one 9-year-old, with clean white sheets that smelled like laundry detergent, fresh pillows, a thick comforter. The kind of clean that doesn't exist on concrete, the kind of soft that doesn't exist under bridges. Leo placed his mother's hospital wristband on the nightstand beside a new lamp, blue plastic against dark wood. The last piece of her in this first piece of his new life. He lay down fully clothed, shoes still on, afraid to get too comfortable, afraid if he relaxed, this would all disappear, afraid he'd wake up under Loop 101, and this would be revealed as a dream. But the pillow was soft. Real soft. The blanket warm, real warm. The walls solid, the door locked, the air conditioning working. Everything real. Leo cried into that pillow for 2 hours. Happy tears mixed with grief, mixed with relief, mixed with tears he didn't have names for. 8 months of sleeping with one eye open. 8 months of heat and hunger and fear. Over. 3 months later, Leo walked through Phoenix Country Days halls in a uniform that actually fit. Making friends, laughing, being 9, straight A's in every class. Teachers astonished daily by what he remembered, what he understood, what he could do. 6 months later, the Sofia Martinez Memorial Clinic opened its doors on a hot August morning. Leo cut the ribbon, standing between Vance and Dr. Reed. All three crying. The clinic's logo, a stopwatch showing 18s with the tagline, "Because seconds matter." They served 212 patients the first month. People who'd been overlooked. People who couldn't afford to be listened to. People like his mother, finally getting care. 1 year later, Leo presented at Scottsdale General Hospital's annual medical conference. 10 years old, the youngest speaker in the hospital's 100-year history. Topic: Diagnostic errors in underserved populations. What traditional medicine misses when it stops listening. Vance sat in the front row, crying through the entire presentation. The standing ovation lasted 3 full minutes. But the most important thing happened every Saturday, without fail. Leo returned to the Loop 101 overpass, where he'd slept, where he'd been invisible. Now he came to teach. 23 kids sat in a circle around him every week. Homeless, housing insecure, overlooked, invisible to everyone except Leo, who saw them all. He taught them basic first aid, simple anatomy, medical terminology, how to observe, how to remember, how to think like doctors, even when the world said they'd never become doctors. One kid, maybe 11, asked, "Leo, why do you come back here every week? You got out. You're safe now. Why help us?" Leo looked at the faces around him, saw himself in every single one. "Because someone finally saw me when I was invisible. Someone finally listened when nobody else would. Now I see you, all of you, and I'm going to make sure the world sees you too." Another kid, maybe 8. "Can you really teach us to be doctors?" Leo smiled. "I can teach you to think like doctors, to observe what others miss, to remember what matters, to care when caring seems pointless. The rest, school, credentials, licenses, that's just paperwork. If I could get from under this bridge to Scottsdale General Hospital, so can every single one of you, I promise." Later that year, Phoenix Country Day School created a new program, the Leo Martinez Scholarship for Exceptional Circumstances, a full ride for homeless or housing-insecure children demonstrating extraordinary aptitude despite impossible circumstances. 5 recipients per year, every year. Leo, at 10 years old, helped interview the first group of candidates, sat on the committee, had a vote, was treated as an equal. One applicant was an 8-year-old girl teaching herself engineering from library computers, building solar-powered water purifiers for homeless camps using spare parts from electronics recycling. Leo asked her, "When do you want to start school?" She smiled, the first time during the entire interview, and whispered, "Monday." Leo smiled back, remembered that feeling. "Monday. I'll meet you at the front entrance. You're going to love it here." The echo spreading forward, always forward. Some miracles take 18 seconds. The ripples last generations. If this story reminded you that brilliance has no address and genius wears no uniform, a like and subscribe help us share more moments that prove everyone deserves to be seen. Want more stories where the invisible become unforgettable? Stay with us. There are millions of Leos waiting to be discovered.